Okay, here goes nothing. This is going to be a how-to, how I do it for this, what I'm going to be making as a cover for my next journal. This is actually the inside of the journal I just completed, who is Matilda, who I just did a flip through on, and it should already be loaded by the time I load this one up. But it is something that I posted on Facebook when I very first made it, and I promised that I would do a how-to video on it, even though I am so terrible at them and they make me so uncomfortable. But I'm going to just wing it and try my best to fumble through it. So please be patient with me, and there may be a lot of stops and starts because it's been a while. It's been maybe a couple months since I made this, and although I remember generally how I did it, I was experimenting, and I may I just don't know how it's going to go. So you're going to get the general gist of it, and I encourage you to always experiment and play and try to come up with something new because this was very, very new for me. I have not seen it. It's not something that I saw someplace else or heard about. I just was trying to figure out how to use the handkerchief and the ledger sheet, the original leather sheet, ledger sheet at the, I wanted to use both of them, but them separately, the handkerchief was just too floppy, and then I was worried about the ledger. I was going to have to cut it down, and on this particular one, I don't think I had to cut the ledger down so far that you lost any of the good parts. So, and I had to do this one a little differently because the book is smaller. Matilda is smaller than the next book I'm making. So here is the hanky for the one I'm just about to make. And it just so happened that it's the perfect size for my papers that I've started. This is in no way finished. I just kind of threw together some papers so I could show you as I go along. But it just so happened that on this one, the hanky was too uh, long or too tall. You know what I mean. So these are actually folds, and I got my iron out and pressed it, pinned it, and then pressed the folds, and then I'm not sure. I think they're stitched, but I also think I used heat and bond, which I'm about to show you, a strip of it in here to give it a little more oomph. And this was all done on the hanky before I attached it to the ledger. So I made my uh, handkerchief to size before I put I backed the ledger onto it. Hope that makes sense. So here's the back side of it. So it just so happened that it was too big for this book, and I didn't have any hankies at that time that were, or I couldn't get to, that were the right size. So I just folded it and made another little, it's a little character right there, that fold. So this is what I'm going to be attempting today. And it will be without this flap. This was a one of a kind piece, or actually it's a sleeve, so there was another piece at one time, but I don't know where it is. I probably used it. So that is what I'm showing you. And this is pretty much everything I used. Here's my iron, which is on, and it's really, really hot. This is a little mini that I got from Amazon a couple years ago. course, she has glue and distress ink all over her. These are my new scissors, my new fancy scissors. I can't even say the name of them. I think it's German. But I needed a new pair of little scissors. I got those. Probably not the best ones to use today, so I'm probably going to go grab a bigger pair. Now that I think about it. I just wanted to show them off. It was my birthday present to myself. I used Liquitex acrylic medium matte gel. I love this stuff. I use it a lot. It gives a matte finish, but in this case, you really don't know that because I'm just using it basically as a glue, but it is a clear glue. It dries clear. And another thing I need to get is a paintbrush, and good luck to me because I don't know where all my paintbrushes are. So when it comes to be that time, I will pause the video. Hopefully I will not delete myself, and then I'll jump back on and I'll show you that part. This is the Distress Glaze, Tim Holtz, that I also use, surprisingly. I was not sure this would work or not, but I wanted to take it on another distress level. So I just used this and it turned out great. This is going to be a one signature journal, and there's just some of my papers that I'm working on. Here is my hanky, and it does have a hole in it. I don't care. That's fine. It's just not a big one and not a big deal. It's got this pretty embroidery right here. I did tea stain this and dried it and ironed it, and I do that because it makes it much easier to work with, and I don't measure with a ruler or anything like that, so it just makes it easier to have it all ironed out and nice. And plus my mama taught me that you iron your linens, and I do that most of the time, not always, depending on what I'm doing. So that is the hanky I picked out, and it's the perfect size for what I need, so I'm not going to have to do any folding. And normally, like how I did the other one, was kind of brought it up on itself in a fold as many times as I needed. I think I had to do it twice on my other one. So, and then I pinned it, and then I ironed it, and I think I used heat and bond, a little strip of it in there, and then I sewed it. So that's how I did the original one. And you do that before you attach it to the ledger. So I'm not going to give you measurements or anything because it really just depends on what you have and what you're working with and what the size of your journal is. And, I was winging it when I made it, and I don't even know what sizes are what. So just whatever you have, go for it. There's my hanky. Here's my ledger. This is from January 1935. This ledger was in excellent shape. I have the whole ledger, and I got it back when they weren't so expensive. I couldn't afford one now if my life depended on it, but I'm so happy I have this one, and the paper does not crack. I don't I don't suggest using one that the pages are brittle. I think probably you can even use a digital depending on what size cover you're making. But I'm sure you can use a digital if you're using a laser printer, which is what I use, so that the ink doesn't run. Um, On my original one, the ink did not run. It kind of was, uh, it kind of, oops, it didn't run, mainly because of how wait a minute, did I even use, I don't even remember. Okay, we'll get to that. Um, see, it's not blurry or it's not smudged or anything, which I was kind of surprised. So I am going to have to trim this a bit. And the only way that I could get it to fit on the hanky, which the hanky was the size I needed for the book, for the cover, is I'm going to have to put it this, let's see, I'm going to have to put it, I feel like I'm already messing up. So let's see. Yeah. So it's going to have to go, is it? So this is going to be the front cover. So this is going to be the cover right here, front cover. So going to go on like this. I'm thinking, say hi to Louie. I'm thinking as I go. So do I want it this way? I'm going to have to do it that way. Or, no, I can't do it the other way. Yeah, I can't do it this way. Doesn't have as much writing on the front, number one. And number two, this part has to be cut off. And so what shows on the inside of the cover is going to be cut off. Like this much of it is going to be cut off. And I don't want to do that. I would rather cut this part off and lose some of this in the back. And um, I want this to show through on the hanky, right? So it goes this way. This is the inside of the hanky. So I'm doing that face down onto the ledger sheet. I'm sorry, it's a little bigger than my screen. So it's going to go like this. See, it just fits on there perfectly. It's a little shy, but it's a little shy of the scallops on the hanky, but that's what I want. I don't want it to show past the scallops. So that's how it's going to go, like that. And I'm gonna, unfortunately, the the this part of the ledger is going to be on the back of the cover. This will be the back, and it'll show through on the back. And then this part, the numbers will show through on the front. And that's just the way it's got to be because of that piece of ledger that I used. A lot of the other ledger pieces that I had in there, they had receipts glued to the ledger. I mean, actually glued to it. And I don't know what kind of glue they used in 1935, but it was some strong glue. And I did not want to risk trying to take it off, and I would have ruined the ledger. It would have taken off the print, and so I had to find one that had enough writing to show through and not to have the receipt on it on either side. So that's why I'm using this particular ledger sheet. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it on pause, and all I'm going to do is cut. I'm going to go find my big scissors, and I'm going to cut off this excess right here. So I'll be right back, and hopefully I will not delete myself. My mouse is okay. Hold on a minute. I'm going to put you on pause. Okay, I am back. I should have done this. It's magic. I cut it off. I'm losing my numbers, but that's okay. I'm going to keep this and use that on something else. Okay, so I have cut it, and I cut it a little short so that it wouldn't go all the way past the scallops or scallops. Oh, I think you eat scallops. Scallops. Is it scallops or scallop? I don't know. Anyway, I think I've had too much caffeine today. Okay, so I did that. And next, we are going to use what actually adheres the ledger to. Am I getting on y'all's nerves yet? I'm already getting on my own nerves because I'm trying to think and do it at the same time. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is what I use. I use Heat and Bond Light. This came in a roll, and so I've already pretty much pre-cut it. I'm gonna have to trim it up. I'm sorry this all doesn't show. And I've got some shadows. Uh, so this is what I'm actually going to use as the adhesive. I did not want to use wet glue, any kind of glue. I think Fabri-Tac would have been a big mistake to try to do this. So I use this quite a bit on my with my covers. So this is what I used. So I cut this to size, and you can get it in different. I believe you can get it in different widths and different lengths on Amazon, and it's called Heat and Bond Light. And I don't know. I've never used the regular. I don't know what light. I don't know if light signifies the amount of actual adhesive that's on the back. I have no idea, but this is just what I was recommended years ago, and this is what I use. So I've already cut that, and I'm going to put my ledger aside for now and turn this over because I want to put the adhesive on the back side, right? This is my new ironing board that I got from Sean or Lindy K and Sean Designs on YouTube. And I'm not positive that's exactly what the channel is called, but I will put a link below. Sean, the Mr. Lindy K, Sean, he makes these and sells them, and I love mine. It has become indispensable from day one. He does a really nice job with the felt, and it's all up to code. There's underneath this fabric, which is so cute, there is the ironing board cover. So it's not going to catch on, it's not going to catch on fire. And I love it. He does such a great job. And I don't think he makes them any smaller, but I know he makes them bigger. I don't think she has, I'm pretty sure she doesn't have an Etsy shop. So the way you would get in touch with her if you are interested is, I guess, through YouTube. And like I said, I'll put the link in the description box. And very, there. I think it was $25, which is well worth it, considering how much it would cost to buy the stuff to put one of these together. Um, and the time that it would take to do it. And he cuts off, this is nice wood underneath. And anyway, so I highly suggest you get one if you don't have one from somewhere already. Okay, so this is my hanky. Here is the front of the journal that they'll be folded over, and I want to make sure that I don't put the adhesive on the front. I want to put it on the back. I wish I'd gotten the bigger one, the bigger board, but at the time I did not know that he had bigger ones. And I really didn't know that I would like a bigger board, but I may just be getting a new board in my future for my bigger projects. Okay, so I've laid that out. Here is my heat and bond. And oh, I have not put it over there yet. Okay, so I think I have a straighter edge over here. So I'm gonna flip it over, flip it around. Really funny about this shirt. I went to the vet this morning to take one of my kitty cats who has an eye problem. We don't know what it is yet. It was very cloudy and it's not an infection. So anyway, I went to the vet And I put this shirt on this morning, and it was already buttoned. I had it buttoned in my closet, hanging up. And little did I know that when I got home, that I didn't button it up correctly. So my collar is like all janky, and the pattern, the lace pattern on the front on the chest is like wonky, and I didn't know. So now I'm all embarrassed for my vet visit. But that is typical me, y'all. I swear it's typical me. Okay, maybe that's not so straight. Bear with me. So I'm just turning this sheet around until I get it, because I cut it out yesterday, and if I get quiet, it's just because I have my tongue sticking out and I'm concentrating. Okay, I think it goes that way. I don't know why I don't know why I didn't cut this out to size yesterday. I have a feeling I know why I didn't, because it probably would have been wrong. And I get to do it on camera. Hey, okay, that looks right. So what I'm going to do is scoot this over so I'm on the board. So, if it ends up hanging over somewhere, I really don't want it to. So I really need to try to get this squared. Like I said, I don't use a ruler. Oh, heaven forbid, I should use a ruler and do it like a normal person. But I just know me, and rulers make me really frustrated. The only reason that I use rulers is, and I just got a brand new one. I'm so happy about it. It's got a finger grip. So for my arthritis, I can hold it down and rip my papers without having to put so much pressure if it was flat. So anyway, that's my new ruler. Um, Heaven forbid I should use it in the way in which it's supposed to be used. So you know what? I'm going to put you on pause, and I'm going to play with this a little bit. And all I'm doing is just getting it to where it's cut properly, to where it doesn't overhang on the hanky, and kind of get it squared up, and then I will be right back. No, that didn't work. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, before I go any further, I kind of turned this around to where I could see better. And what I'm going to do, this is just going to help me place it. I'm not going to do it on camera, but I'm just showing you how I'm going to do this part right here. I am getting this lined up. I know this is a straight edge because this edge at the bottom of the roll has not been cut. So I know that that is a straight edge. Problem is these hankies aren't always square, they're not always squared up correctly. So that can be, you just have to play with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up this edge on here, and I'm going to iron this. The adhesive is down on this heat and bond. It's here. It's kind of like a bumpy texture, so you'll be able to tell. I've lined it up, and I'm going to just iron here on the end, and it's going to place my heat and bond where I need it to be. And then I'm going to cut around. I'm going to put you on pause again, and I'm going to, it just, it anchors it. I'm anchoring it onto the handkerchief. because it's having a tendency of rolling on me because it was on a roll. So I have adhered that down right there, and it's going to stay. That way I can kind of play with it and get it cut, because as you can see, it's not square. And I'm going to play with it, and I'm going to get it on here to where I can iron the rest. So I'm going to put you on pause again. Okay, I'm back. Please forgive me for not doing this on camera. This is only a little bit of the slivers that I was removing, trying to get the heat and bond to fit onto the hanky, because it's just not square, and I didn't want to put you through that. So I have already put the heat and bond on. I have not peeled off the backing yet, and I'm going to be doing that now. So as you can see, and there's a lot of, when you do this, I hope you're a ruler person, because if I were a ruler person, I would have saved myself a little more trouble by having it sized out correctly before I tried to iron it on. But, like I said, I'm not like that. So when you do this, there's a lot of flipping back and forth, and it's kind of fidgety, and everything's sliding and moving around, and my ironing board's not quite big enough. That's my fault. And and then I would have to snip a little more off just to keep it from not going over the edge here. And I didn't want to put you through that. So literally all I was doing was ironing, and you don't hold it on there for very long. This is a really hot iron, and I have it on high. So you basically just want to, do it a little bit and flip it over and make sure you're not getting any wrinkles on the hanky, that it bunches up or anything. See, it did a little bit right there, but I'm absolutely okay with that. Um, considering how kind of fussy it is, I'm lucky that that's the only ones I got. So, you want to maybe do it a little more intensely where that decoration is, because it needs to kind of get all down in and up in there. So and you don't want to overdo the heat, because you just don't. And you'll know if you have not put enough heat on it for, when you start peeling it off. And this is always my favorite part, because there's just something about doing the peeling, that is so satisfying. So as you can see, it's on there. I'm just going to grab the corner, and I'm going to peel it off. And I do it kind of slowly, and I also I'm letting it cool a little bit too. Not do it when it's so hot, because I don't want the adhesive to come up as I'm pulling. Just kind of taking my time. If I feel like I'm getting any resistance, it usually means that it's trying to come up. It's not quite down yet, but so far so good. And I've even used this backing. It feels kind of like plastic or rubbery. I've even used this on the back of pockets in journals, just not gone that extra step and backed it with another piece of whatever. And you reach down inside the pocket in the journal, and you feel this, and it's pretty cool. But you don't really have to. I mean, that's what it's for. But when I do pockets and I want to kind of reinforce it, sometimes I use this. Oh, that's just so satisfying. And I use these sheets when I make antique tape or vintage tape. It's kind of yellowed, and use the alcohol inks, and it gives me a good surface where the tape doesn't stick on it. And I do all my, I lay all the strips out, and this is what I'll use. It's a good piece right there for that. So here is this, and there's the hole. And like I said, that doesn't matter. It's okay if it has a hole, if you like that look. So it's actually going to be like this. This is going to be the front. It's going to be a tall skinny. So this is how it's going to be. And as you can see, it's not quite squared. It's just, over time, or, the machine might, when it's being made, it might be stretching out the fabric a bit, so it's not perfectly square. And really, that's okay. It's just, takes a little longer to get everything squared away. So I'm really liking how that turned out. Okay, another thing that you really want to pay attention to when you're doing this next step is, okay, here, this is the cover. So this is the way I want that to go on there. Sorry, I got a couple messages. Hold on a second. Okay, nothing important. So what did we say? Oh dear. So just going to do this just to get my bearings straight. So this is how I had it on before before I cut the ledger. So that I just want to make sure that I'm piecing it correct, that I'm laying it correctly. This is what I want to show through the hanky. So I'm going to flip this over. And this is what will show on the inside of the cover, which I might do a little simple collaging or something because there is so much blank space here. And this is basically the same, you're gonna pretty much do the same thing. I got to get it lined up and kind of finagled and carefully iron it on there. And I'm just seeing right here, you're gonna be able to see a little bit of maybe not. I get it lined up and I cut it enough to where I'm sorry, I know you can't see all of it. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to kind of get it on here and I'm going to place one edge and flip it over and iron just a little section of it just to kind of get it on the hanky. And then I will iron the rest of it. And what happens is that heat and bond, this is adhesive, so that heat and bond is going to go to adhere the ledger sheet to the hanky. So here I go. Give me just a minute. So I am ironing. I've got this put on, and I have another piece of advice that I kind of need to backtrack. When you're cutting out your heat and bond, cut it to your ledger sheet first. Don't cut it the size that you want it to be for your hanky. And the reason I say this is because, see, I cut it a little too long. So you can see the adhesive right through there. And as you can see, it's not square, which is fine, which is fine in my case because I'm a grungy girl and I'm going to be grunging all that up anyway. I'm going to be using some matte medium and some distress inks, and it doesn't concern me. All that it concerned me with was when I was ironing, I did not want to touch my iron on that because it gets on your iron and then you have to then you have to get it off because the next time you use your iron, you're going to get that stuff that's stuck to your iron on whatever you're ironing next. So I just had to be careful not to get it on my iron. And like I said, when you cut the heat and bond, cut it to the size of the paper that you're going to be attaching it to, and that way uh, you'll have a better because I don't use a ruler, you'll have a better idea of what size you need. But like I said, it's no big deal with me because it's just all going to be covered up with grunge anyway. So I've got that on there. You want to leave the iron on there about the same amount of time that you did on the flip side. You don't want to burn your paper, and you don't want it to sit too long because it'll kind of disintegrate the adhesive underneath in some spots. And you can see right there where I touched this adhesive and it got on the iron right there. So I just have some free grunge right there. And this will be the cover, and it goes over and you can see it beautifully on the back side. And what I'm doing here is I'm just seeing if there's any, you can kind of feel if there's a little bubble spot or where it didn't. I'm not feeling any, and that's a good thing. Kind of feeling it all around. And I would also suggest that if you do try this, to just do it in a smaller scale, because this is a good size ledger and a good size hanky, and it just makes it harder, when you're learning and when you're experimenting, it takes longer. And so I would use probably half the size of this if starting out. And what I'm going to do I'm just going to kind of let this set a little bit before I crease it, but that is my cover. My next step is, and I had to think about this while I was ironing because I couldn't remember. It's like, did I even use this at all? And this is what it is. Liquitex matte gel. Does it say? And it does dry clear. Transparency. Says right there. And it's the yellow label. I mean Lori, that's red. It's the red label. And I just had to buy a new jar of this. My first jar I've had since I started making. It's the foil kind of go down in there. Um, I love this stuff. It gives such a nice finish. It's matte, and it's also almost a little on the, I don't want to say gritty. It's just got like a very light texture on it, which I love, and it is matte. So the next thing I'm going to do is go unplug my iron because I'm really dangerous. I usually burn myself at least once when I'm using it, but I'm completely done with it. So I'm going to take it over to another area. Be right back. Here I come. Take a sip of my Diet Coke. And of course, I forgot to get my brush. Ugh. I need a brush. I don't know where my brushes are. So what I'm going to do is find my brushes, and I'm going to put a layer of medium on it. Just a light layer all over, making sure I get all of it. I'm 95% sure that that's the way I did it the first time. But like I said, I did the original quite some weeks ago, and I was experimenting, and I didn't write it down because I never write anything down. I never seem to do things the same way twice. So I'm almost positive I put Liquitex, but what I'm going to do is put you on pause again, and I'll be okay. I have it all matte mediumed. Um, and you know, it's funny, the whole time I was doing it, I found my brushes, by the way. I love these brushes. I wanted to share with you because I love them. I get these on Amazon. They're made by Folk Art, and I love them. They're smooth and they're basically for base coats, things like that. And I highly suggest you use them. But they're synthetic, but I love them. So that's that. I found those, so I was happy about that. And honestly, I don't have a lot of brushes because I use my fingers a lot. But this is a I would be a mess. This is such a big surface that it's really best that I not use my fingers and I use a brush. So that's what I did. I just put a thin coat of this matte medium on here, and I just really took my time and didn't saturate it. I dried it with my craft tool, heat craft tool, and I don't know if you can hear that, but I just love that. So there's going to be another step, and I'm running out of light, and it's I decided what I'm going to do. I don't know how to edit, and I really don't want to know how to edit. Uh, Maybe one of these days I'll learn how, but not anytime soon. I've already tried that. I already went to that store and I didn't buy anything. So I, what I'm going to do is this is going to be part one, which is rather lengthy. I will probably end here at around 50 minutes. And then tomorrow morning, I'm going to do part two, which I don't think will be as long because there's only a couple more steps, which is for me distressing with inks, which if you're not a grungy girl, then you know you can skip that step. But I will be grunging this up a bit. Totally not necessary, but it's what I like. And then I will be using this distress glaze, which just now picking it up, there's not a whole lot left in there. But luckily it doesn't take a lot, and I do have another partial jar around here somewhere. But this was my surprise ingredient in the whole thing because I really didn't think it was going to work. But I wanted it to have I wanted it to kind of have a, not really a sheen, but you know, I don't know. I wanted it to feel a little different in differently in areas because it's so, I don't know why I used it. I just did, and it kind of looks it kind of ended up looking clear waxed to me. And it's just going to give it that extra level of protection as well. So I'll do that tomorrow. It's going to be a shorter video, I promise. Actually, I don't promise because I don't know. I will try to make it a quicker video, but as you can see, I'm getting shadows. It's getting later, and my back hurts, and I got to eat something. And so what I'm going to do for the next couple of minutes is I'm going to, and I'll just do this on camera. I'm going to put a coat of this matte medium on the back, and I have my brush in some water here. Squeegee that out. I don't want it to be real wet. So I'm not, you know, the whole time I was doing that on the front, I kept saying, did I use the matte medium when I did it the first time? I honestly don't remember. I'm pretty sure I did because then I got the texture. So it makes sense that I did, but I don't remember. And that's scary because it wasn't really that long ago. I mean, it's been weeks and weeks, but it wasn't that long ago. Um, but when you get in that I'm older, number one. And plus when you get in that play mood where you're experimenting, you don't you have a tendency not to be paying attention to what you're doing. And that's exactly what happened to me. So I'm going to kind of do this slow and easy. And I do the fabric too. It just gives it that much stability and sturdiness because I am making this a cover. So I am, I was lucky. When I was doing the other side, I always worry about air bubbles and it kind of, being able to see them. I don't think there were any. If there were, they were very small, minute um, places. Biggest thing I have to worry about is little kitty cat hairs, which I do have a couple cats. Um, they don't they don't come in here too much. They're usually out on the screened-in porch. So it's really the only thing I have to really pay attention to. I'm just making sure I get on that fabric. I'm getting up here to the print. And since this is a different ledger than the last one I used, I want to kind of be careful that it doesn't smudge the ink. And so we will see when I get up there. Just kind of lightly go over it and get those brush strokes out. However, when you put the glaze on, after this completely dries, I'm going to let it dry overnight. You're not going to see the brush strokes. And when I use my fingers, there are no brush strokes. So I'm seeing a little bit of fleeting because I wasn't paying attention when I was doing that. And it looks like the paint is the lines, they're kind of blurring a little as well. So I'm just going to do it quick and then maybe it won't happen. You know, that makes sense. Please go ahead and use my heat tool while I'm sitting here so that I dry it quickly, but my heat, it doesn't, the cord's not long enough. So I can't get over here. I think it's going to be okay. Is that a hair? Is that oh, I just smeared it. See? Yeah. If you work with it too long, it's going to smear. So I got to be careful. And I love that this has purple lines. And I forgot to show you on the other side. It looks like they used a purple pen for the final total at the bottom of the the bottom of the column. And I thought, did they really have purple ink back then? I guess they did, or well, they did have purple ink because it's right there on the ledger. But I mean, did they have it in their, I don't know. What did they use back in 1935? Did they use I don't even know when pens were, you know what I mean. I don't know if they used like a fountain pen. I don't know. But you see that's where that extra adhesive was from the heat and bond. And I'm going right over it with this matte medium, so you're not even going to be able to see the shininess of that underneath. I'm trying not to put too much pressure as I'm swiping. So I just do not want that to run. I've been watching a lot of videos lately. And I've talked oh shoot. I've talked before about my fatigue. Oh yeah. See, boy, pay attention. Kind of curled up over there. Gotta gotta concentrate. I'm still going through blood work, trying to figure out what it is, although I postponed my last. I was supposed to go this morning for more blood work, and I had to reschedule it because my cute cat needed to go to the doctor too. And you know how it is trying to get into the vet. So anyway, my fatigue, I've been laying around a lot in bed and watching videos. And I always like to learn new things and try different things. And who I've been watching, who I recently came across, who's been around for quite a while, at least 4 years, is 507 Willow House Journals and Twisted Paper Studio. They're two different channels, but they've become friends or are friends, and they each have their own channels. One lives in Alabama, and the other one lives in uh, New Jersey, but she doesn't have a New Jersey accent. I think she used to live in Pennsylvania. Anyway, so I've been watching a lot of both of them, and Leslie at 507 Willow is very southern. And I live in Florida. I live in northern Florida, and I've lived in Florida for most of my life. I lived outside of Florida in Kentucky throughout my junior high and my high school because of my dad had to went and got a job up there. So I was up there during school years, and they even though it's Kentucky, um, they sound northern basically. I guess because it was really on the border of Ohio. I mean, you could look out our window and see the skyline of Cincinnati. That's how close we live to Cincinnati. And so they definitely don't have a twang. And I don't have much of one until I get around women who do. And then it just automatically turns on, and it's funny because the more you listen to a Southern accent, especially when you've had one before, it's hiding in there somewhere. So the more you listen to somebody who has a Southern accent, it brings out the one that you've had. And so mine has definitely come out. And she says things like, "We got me," and uh, I love her. I love both of them, but I relate to her so much because let's just put it this way: if you go to a party in Florida or Georgia or you know Alabama, and I'm saying Florida mainly because there's such a hodgepodge of people who live in Florida. You've got the snowbirds that come from the north, and you've got all sorts of people that move here from the upper states. I get because Florida is supposed to be such a wonderful place to live, but it's hot and I'm tired of it. But anyway, if you go to let's say a party and you spend any amount of time with a southern a southern girl, you are going to leave that well, halfway through the party you are going to have your twang back. And that is what has happened with listening to Leslie. And it gives me such a kick, and I hear it in my voice, and I feel silly because I don't always talk like that. I only talk like that when I'm around somebody who, has that Southern accent. And I just, it's like listening, it's like being home when I listen to her. I just feel like, I don't go to parties anymore. Um, I just feel like I'm sitting there with a friend laughing and listening and, hey, doggy. And, she's got pet names for her rulers and you just, I just love her. So please check, and they are incredibly talented, and they are talented with, I'm sure, many, many things, but they are especially, that I know of, very talented with color, vibrant colors and pattern. And that is something that I absolutely love. The more pattern, the more color, the more things that you think you can't, more things you think you can't put together, I think you should put them together. I like it when things clash, but the thing is I am not good at it. Every once in a while, I'll get lucky, and you know, I'll do something on a small scale that, ooh, that's cute. But that's what they do, and they do what I consider clean journals. They don't do the stressing, although I have seen both of them use inks, distress inks, on occasion, like around a fussy cut or something like that. But they're not big on, they're not big on distressing and aging. And I just really enjoy the heck out of watching them do their thing. And I'm probably going to be doing that here in a little while once I once I start trying to load this very long video on YouTube. And see, what happened is when that curled under, it got on my feed sack here, which, although I rollered off with my thingamajig, um, you know how cat hair is. And we have one long-haired cat and one semi-long-haired cat, and then we got a couple more as well. And I know this is Lola's. This is Lola's pretty flowing hair that is trying to get on my ledger. I'll get as many of them off as I can because that's a pet peeve of mine. But I think I'm done with that. And I got minimal. There's another one, and I got minimal smearing, which is good. So, like I said, this is part one. And if I do everything correctly, as far as saving this and loading it to YouTube and then it's going to be part two is going to be a new video. It's going to be part two. I'll label it as such. And I will be finishing up or getting as close to the finishing touches for this cover as I can, without making the process too long in part two. Um, Usually I will work on the cover here and there, add things, like I might add some simple collaging down here. And things will come to me as I'm working in the inside. So I may add pockets to the inside. I may even add something, a little something, something like vintage buttons or something to the outside. I don't know yet, but I'll try to complete it as much as I can tomorrow in part D. So that is my video for today. I hope you all had a lot of patience with me. I know this is a long one. If I knew how to edit, I would speed it up and I would cut out stupid stuff and, speed it up through it. You know, I would do all those good things, but I just don't want to. So you yourself can put it on double time through your settings in YouTube, and that way it won't be so painful. But so far so good. This is really the way I did it. And I think almost 95% positive I did it this way. And if you want to tackle it, you're welcome to. And I want to mention that I used a hanky because using regular fabric that you couldn't see through, that was thin enough, it would have kind of defeated the purpose of using the heat and bond. And I wanted you to be able to see the ledger through the handkerchief. So you can glue regular paper, any kind of paper, onto the back of fabric. That's, you know, that's a given. But it just makes it a little extra special when you use a very thin cotton and you use something special like a vintage 1935 ledger that shows through. And so that's why I did this differently than, what you would normally do, which is just fabric and paper or and regular glue. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm going to stick my brush in this water before I forget, and I hope you enjoyed this. Please come around for part two tomorrow, and please give me a comment and a like and let me know if this is something that you can suffer through in the future. I would really like to try to do more of these how-tos. I just don't know if I don't know. I don't know if it's too much. I don't know if this is just all too much, too long and too boring to sit through. So you all let me know, and those comments will help me give me a little boost in that algorithm as well. So I will love you guys and thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Mouse is dead. Okay, bye.